Welcome back. And this episode today, we are going to design the front of the airplane so that we can fit our motor on the front. And then I think we might also have a go at changing this cowl. The beauty of these home-built Quickies is that there's so many different cowls around. It could have different motors on board, different engines. So in the real world, people have different shaped cowls and different cooling solutions. So I've seen some that I like, and I think we'll have a go at that. But first of all, we need to mount the motor, or at least make it so that the motor can be mounted. Now, in my hand at the moment, I have a metal ruler and I have a motor with a mount. And I've just measured from the bottom of the mount to the prop adapter, and I just want to make sure that I don't make it such that the motor can't fit. Now I'm using a T2836 /8 270 watt Overlander thumper motor, and that's a good size. You could probably use a smaller motor. You may just have to if you download my version of this plane, you could use a smaller motor. You might just have to print yourself some kind of spacer or use some washers to space the a smaller motor out. So I'm measuring it and I get 35 mil. So what I'm going to do is construct an offset plane from the front here, and I'm going to do minus 35. Great. And I'm going to do a sketch on just the front now. I'm just going to bring up my canvases as well. So it doesn't matter too much if we're not going exactly with the canvas, as I said, because there's different cowlings around. I'm going to go zoom in a bit so we get another. There you go. Go about here. And even though I know that the motor numbers denote the diameter, I still like to measure it. So I'm going to go with a bit of extra space. I'm going to go with 30. Ooh, 30. Let's go 35. 35 mil. Okay, so that's going to be sort of where our cutout goes. Now it might be worth me actually making it bigger still so that it kind of deals with some of this funny shaped cowling, although I'm thinking we could enter air inlets, but I'll show you the one I like and you get some idea of what I'm aiming for. With that designed or drawn, I'm going to do another sketch behind. And so I'm jumping the gun. First thing, I'm going to split the nose. So this bit's going to become the cowling, this is going to be the nose, and if I remove this bit, this is going to be the firewall that we'll now do a sketch on. Great. Project just the central point. Projection link on that. There we go, cool. And I have a normal motor mount here, but what I've stopped doing is I've stopped marking out the holes for the motor mount, because I found that all my motor mounts are different and the holes didn't quite line up, and it actually just made it a real pain in the backside. So what I do is when we print this part, we change the slicer settings to make it a good couple of mil thick, so it's just basically thick plastic, and then we mark up where you want the motor to go. Something that is worth doing, of course, though. That's funny. thought I projected. Yeah, so what was I saying? Yeah, so I start making the firewall thick, and that way you don't have to do it. But what is worth having a look at is just the width of the motor mount. The one I've got in my hand is 42 millimeters, and yeah, 42 millimeters, and it's worth. It's very strange how it's projected. I guess it obviously wasn't straight, which is okay. Because then that cutout's not straight. Okay, do you know what? We're going to change that. So I'm just stepping back. Because I want the airplane to fly, I guess, in this kind of attitude. So I don't want the motor pulling it down. So that's 250, and then 250 minus 35 is 215. Excellent. And then we'll go back, split the body again. Okay. Now it's got me wondering, is that first one was 35? Yep, 35. Okay, and get rid of the extra. And then what did I say the distance was? You need at least 42 for the motor mounts. Okay, so there's plenty of space. And we need a few mil for the motor spindle. If we give a centimetre, that's normally good. So that's basically where our motor is going to attach on. And once we've hollowed out the inside of the once we've hollowed out the inside, we will then cut out that hole. I'm just thinking because we are going to make a little slice to make sure the firewall remains thick. I'm trying to think if now's the time to do it. Yeah, I think it probably is. So, yep. Okay, so what I've done there is I've just done a 1 mil thick slice. Now we're going to rejoin this bit back on to the fuselage or the nose cone or whatever it may be. But when we shell the inside of this part here, I don't want this bit included because I want to have a mill and then another mill on the other side, so that when we print it, we can tell the slicer to print the bottom layers solid. so that the screws have something to grab into for the motors. I'm just going to name them for a moment so I know what's going on. Add a new group in there. So thanks to someone who posted me an article about components and the difference between components and bodies. I think I said something along the lines of, I know you're supposed to use components. And components do give you some benefits in being able to add in motion and joints and things like that, and you can derive. However, I find that I just find it harder to group things together and move things around groups. And that tends to be why I don't. I have worked with them before if I've wanted to do an animation or check that my range of motion's good. But maybe at some point I'll include some so that I can show you how to do it. Alright, so we've got the firewall, we've got what's going to be the cowling, and that's kind of what we need to work on right now. So, I'm going to go find that photo of the cowling I liked, and then I quite like this one here. I quite like this sort of square inlet for the cooling, and I quite like the sleek line we kind of get, and it comes up around here. Now, this is a slight change to the shape that we got when we followed our canvas. If I show you, if I bring the canvas back up, we had this kind of design here, and then the motor has a bulge on top. That being said, this also brings the prop a little bit lower to the ground. So I'm thinking, and this is totally a bit pie in the sky, I'm not sure if this is going to work. Let's see what happens if we just fiddle a little bit with this sketch. Alright. So this could go horribly wrong. Go horribly wrong in many, many ways. Okay. Now it should then go through everything that we've done and compute everything again. Doesn't look like it's gone drastically wrong. Wings out of place. But in terms of our shape, it seems to have gone okay. If we just match up with the canvas here, you see that we've sort of changed the shape a little bit. Right. Okay. Now I just need to move these sketches. Oh. Okay, cool. And then we're going to have room to put our little bit in there. This is going to annoy me. I think we're going to need to move that. So hold on. I just don't quite know why that's happened. it for now. This is probably an example of where I'm not using Fusion correctly to properly get it to carry through changes. You know, when you go back and make such a big change to an early sketch. Maybe with components it's better at doing that, but I'm pretty sure it's something we can fix. Right, so now all I want to work on, I don't want to work on anything else, I need to work on where is this part? Just want to check nothing else has gone wrong when I made that change. No. Okay. So I'm going to isolate and bring these bits back, and also my sketch there back. And I want to draw in my... that's not what I want. There we go. Right, so we're going to try and build this kind of thing here, which I think looks pretty cool. So... in this case, having a bit of an angle I don't think is going to be a problem. In fact, it might be preferable, so I'm going to draw a sketch on there. Keep it symmetrical. That's probably alright. We'll just fillet the corners. Maybe go... yeah, that's good. And then... you can see as it changes colour as it goes behind the object. Kind of want to make it go a fair way back. And then if we can, we're going to sketch on there. Just to be sure we're getting the right bit. And what I'm going to do is project. No projection link. Then I'm going to modify. Okay, and then move. Okay, and then finish the sketch. think that needs to blend in a little bit more. So let's bring our photo back. I think the cowling comes down a little bit quicker at the front as well there. Quite like to be able to see the rest of this actually, see if there's anything behind the prop that we can't see. Yeah. Whoa. Unintended consequences. Obviously grabbed the wrong bit. Okay. Looks a bit funny when it's a different material, so. Right, I think. There's other things we could do just to play along with the loft. Sometimes I think it's fun just to play, change the shape. You know, look, that's pretty cool. I quite like that actually. Change the weight of it, so like 0.5. Slightly different takeoff weight, 0.6, 0.4. Change the angle. That's a little bit more shapely, I think. Yeah, I'm fairly happy with that. I quite like the look of it. So let us now we'll unisolate whichever bit I had, a bit there, and then I'm going to isolate that bit again. So this is now our cowling. As is that bit, not that bit. That bit can go in the bin. Let's get that bit. This is all one bit now, so we'll do that the other way around. Okay. And then the way this will go is this will be placed on top of the firewall and glued on after the motor has been fitted. So here's what I would do. Come to the back. That's not going to work. Modify shell. Click on the face you want to shell, and 0.6, 0.6. So that gives us a narrow wall. It's not structural, it's really just to look nice, so we don't really need it to weigh anything. Cool. Right, then make a sketch. Point 6. Extrude. Might work. Yeah, because of the angle, I don't think it did work very well. So, yeah, I recommend we do this from the other side actually. I might print a little rim, but that'd be okay as long as it can cope with it. Do the cuts. That's that. And then we're going to need to do the same up here. And I suggest just cutting the whole thing out. Come back to that in a sec. There we go. Make this bit a bit thicker actually, and that'll give it some rigidity. Minus 1.5. There we go. So now we have something that we can print. There'll be two ways to print it. You need to print it on this back edge here, and just see how it goes. Printing essentially this bit, I think, would be the hardest bit. Failing that, print it based on the front here, and just with a support to come off on there, and then require a tiny bit of sanding. And then just come to the front, make sure that is our motor going to fit? I think it should. Okay, so I think the silhouette looks pretty good. I quite like the shape of it now. As usual. Hold on, I'm going to go with that sketch. I'm going to mark this one. I spelled it wrong, but anyway, it's only for me. we need to go back and move this wing. Right. What has happened to this wing? It's so strange. It's like, it's just weird. Got a better idea than moving it. We'll just do another mirror. Sometimes you move things, they don't look quite right. Or actually, worse still, they look right. And then you find out later on that something's not quite symmetrical. You can't figure out what. And it's because of essentially what's happened there. There's something's just off kilter. This is why often when I'm building a plane by myself, I don't mirror anything to see what it looks like. That's something I'm kind of doing, because we're doing a video so that we can see what the plane looks like and get that feel for it. But there we go. Let's have a little look in the render workspace. It's a new day, so I'm going to change my color. Ooh, mustard. What have we not had? So sky blue. There we have it. Motor cow with the intake. I think it's similar to this one here. As I say, there are so many different types of cowling that really the sky's the limit. And when you're building your own plane, if there's something on the actual plane you don't like, change it. Just my view. There we go, we'll get an image of this. And that is the motor cowling and preparation really of the mounts. So next time we will need to start looking at battery access, canopy, shelling the fuselage and attaching the wings. So fair amount to go, but that is all for